Stoicism is one of those philosophies where it's easy to grasp, but it's also really easy to misinterpret. Social media influencers and red pill content creators were promoting it as this philosophy where you become apathetic and a cold-hearted machine that's void of all emotions back in 2022. This was like everywhere on social media. But that's not what Stoicism is. Stoicism teaches the development of self control and fortitude as a means of overcoming destructive emotions. You still have emotions, but you have a grip on them and you are able to control them, not letting it get the better of you. Your actions and thinking is based off of reason and not purely off of emotions. But you still feel anger, sadness, joy, fear. But you don't let those feelings rule you. You respond to life through reason, not reflex. You act according to your values and not your moods. Stoicism is not a rejection of emotions, it is a commitment to understanding it, disciplining it, and placing it in service of life, guided by wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These content creators and influencers would promote Marcus Aurelius, a former Roman emperor and a prominent figure in Stoicism. He wrote a book called Meditations as a private journal for his own personal reflection and guidance. It was then later published for everyone to read. I myself, I wasn't absorbed into the red pill manosphere nonsense during the time, but it did open the door towards Stoicism for me. Another reason why I wasn't absorbed was because I already knew what Stoicism was, or I really had a basic understanding of it. Like I had a basic understanding of existentialism at the time. So it was all nonsense to me whenever I would hear these like red pill content creators. But I wasn't really gravitated towards Marcus Aurelius. One Stoic philosopher that I was gravitated towards was Miyamoto Musashi. I picked up some of his writings and I liked what he had to say. I even applied some of these lessons to my life. The reason why I decided to make this was because I noticed I had like some notes that I carried from after I read from this, or even some thoughts I had relating to some of the books I read from him, or writings from him. Yeah, they weren't really books, but writings. Excuse me. And reread one of his writings, Ducato, recently, and I was like, you know what? Why not share my knowledge to the world, to at most 20 viewers? But recently, whenever I look back on Ducato and the Book of the Five Rings, which is another book from him, is to either see what I've missed, um, or if I could let me see, let me reread what I felt like I was missing in my life or at this moment. Whenever I feel like I'm losing my grip on the disciplines that I once had, or I feel like I'm regressing, I turn back to one of these books, one of these self-help books that I read. I don't read much self-help books at all, if not like almost at all. If you know me personally, I do not like self-help books because I feel like a lot of them just contain like really basic information. But Dokado is one of the ones that I like. Dokado is a short work written by Miyamoto containing 21 precepts. I remember I got this to learn from him, to see what he had to say, and even apply some of these lessons to my life. Musashi emphasizes the importance of self-reliance, encouraging people to take responsibility for their own actions and decisions. He encourages people to cultivate their own skills, to develop inner strength, and rely on their own abilities rather than solely on external factors. If you believe in the concept of God, it's like you do not rely all your troubles, or to solve your troubles, by God, but rather your own self. But that's not to say that he didn't believe in God or gods. He did. He did study Buddhism, and he does respect the gods, but he didn't put all his self on them. He advocates for non-attachment to worldly desires, so that people can free themselves from distraction and entanglements that hinders growth. From there, he had some Buddhist influence. He advised embracing the temporary nature of existence and cultivating an acceptance to change. By acknowledging the permanence of all things, people can adapt to new circumstances and flow with the dynamic nature of life. Musashi expresses the importance of simplicity in thought, action, and lifestyle. By simplifying one's approach, individuals can focus on priorities and avoid unnecessary distractions. This simplicity enables clarity of purpose and allows individuals to channel their energy effectively. Since there are 21 precepts, they are pretty useful, but there are a few that stuck out to me and hit me deep. There are four. There's the second precept, the fourth precept, the sixth precept, and the eighth precept. I'll be going over all of them. The second precept: do not seek pleasure for its own sake. That's what he said. A lot of these precepts are really basic. They're like one sentence at most, if not just one sentence. Seek not the shallow pleasures of the senses, but the profound satisfaction that comes from living with purpose and integrity. Attachment to pleasurable experiences, constantly seeking them, never restraining the impulse for immediate gratification, creates a life out of balance and the constant pursuit of empty pleasures. This leads to suffering and a life filled with dissatisfaction. In a day and age where we could get instant gratification from easily swiping on our phones, we forget and abandon the fulfilling feeling from accomplishing tasks that require more time and focus. Technology has made us both more productive and lazy. We use artificial intelligence to help us, if not do all the work for us, work that requires us to articulate, formulate, and to think critically. We go on social media and we are exposed to a wide range of media in a matter of minutes. We experience so many emotions swipe after swipe, emotions like joy, anger, envy, lust, sadness within a matter of minutes. It's not natural to feel all these emotions within a matter of minutes. Before even technology came to rise, it was just unnatural. People think you were crazy. We can access pornography at the tip of our fingers, making indulgence easier and self-control harder. Lust often leads to sloth. To tail off of lust, we can easily connect to people for dating, but not everyone has these intentions, only seeking for sex. One night stands night after night. Is that all there is to life? A cycle of cheap thrills without depth? Although this does not mean that Musashi didn't encourage the idea of not having fun or pleasure in life. We're not cold-hearted automatons after all. But if you chase only comfort and indulgence without working on yourself, you'll look back and you'll see nothing of importance, nothing of substance. True satisfaction comes from not going after the low-hanging fruit, but from living deliberately with focus, purpose, and integrity. The fourth precept: think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Know the world within you, and you'll find the world around you. Understand the impermanence of the self, and you will discover the interconnectedness of all things. In this precept, Musashi is emphasizing the idea that people shouldn't be overly focused on their own ego and self-importance. Rather, he believed a broader perspective that acknowledges the vastness and complexity of all of the world around us. Musashi believed that by recognizing the richness and opportunities that the world offers us, by acknowledging your own significance, we allow ourselves to open up to a great understanding of the world's complexities that surrounds us, complexities and interconnectedness that is even beyond the individual. Opening yourself allows for greater focus on the world's richness, enables us to embrace humility, look for knowledge, and forge more meaningful connections. Although Musashi is a individualist, if you read what he has to say, he does focus on the individual. He is not an egoist. He's like, he does not promote narcissism, but he does believe in that you should invest in yourself. Now, the sixth precept. The sixth precept is the one that I feel like all the four hit me the hardest, but it goes like this: do not regret what you have done. That's all it is. But do not waste precious time dwelling on what could have been. Embrace the lessons learned from your past experiences and use them to fuel your growth. Musashi believed that we should never feel remorse for our past actions, but must let go of the burden of regret, guilt, and remorse, and instead to focus on personal development, improvement, and the continuous development of our skills and character. I am no stranger to this feeling. I do catch myself forgetting this lesson, and I start to have feelings of regret when I start regressing. But once I catch myself, I get back on my feet. Regret is a strong feeling, but it is only as strong as you make it out to be. When I was studying for my degree in engineering, my professor was teaching us about the engineering design process. He brought up a concept called Kaizen, not Jujutsu Kaisen, but Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese philosophy and a system of continuous improvement, meaning good change or a change for the better. It is an approach to continuous improvement based on making small changes over time to achieve improvement. We would use this concept when we were putting our prototypes into practice and see what we should use, what we should discard, what should we add, what should we research, etc. This is a concept you'll see in business because that's where it came from. The concept Kaizen actually came from the Japanese after World War II, and they're like, how do we make business better? But what Musashi is saying, this can be applied to yourself and not just engineering and business. Another quote I want to throw in here is one from Lao Tzu. One of my favorite quotes is, if you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. With the past, there is nothing you could change, no matter how much you wish you could go back and change it, or how many times you replay the memories in your head. There's nothing you can do. Worrying about the past drains your present energy. The regret you carry locks you into a loop of what if, or the road not taken, would it have changed at all? These feelings do not change the past, but distorts your ability to live in the moment, to live right now. For the future, you could plan for it, prepare for it, but you cannot control the future. It hasn't happened yet, and you might be suffering twice, once in your mind, and again once it actually happens. And that's if that actually does happen. This isn't spiritual wise knowledge from a deity from a higher realm, but rather a truth based in the psyche and in reality. Learn from the past, do not live in it. Prepare for the future, but don't fear it. Live in the present because that's all you own. And the last precept, the 8th precept, but that's not the last of the book, but the last one I'm going to be covering. I do not allow myself to be sad when taking leave. Musashi realized that leave taking could be an emotional quagmire, and he tried to foster an attitude of non-attachment when parting ways with someone or something. The quote, I do not allow myself to be sad when taking leave, suggests that we should adopt the mindset of acceptance when faced with separations or farewells. Everything in life is not permanent, it's transient. We should be focused on the journey that lies ahead and live in the moment, not to dwell on the past. You could tie this back to the 6th precept. This mindset enables us to navigate change with grace and move forward without being weighed down by sorrow or attachment. Now, the attachment part could be easily misinterpreted, and it could be like interpreted as it does to be apathetic or reject connection. That's not what it is. It is recognizing that all relationships and all things come to an end. Acceptance of this truth allows us to love deeply without clinging on, and to move forward without sorrow weighing us down.